Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from the beautiful climes of Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank.
And I'm Dan.
Coming up on today's episode, we have an interview
Yes, indeed.
with Lawrence Krauss.
If you haven't heard of him, you will.
Yeah, well, you just did.
Well, indeed. Now you have heard of him. You can't claim you haven't heard of him anymore. But no, yeah. I mean, a lot of you have heard of him.
I'm sure.
So,
I was vague on who he was, but now I know.
yeah. He's a rising figure in our atheist
Yeah,
ranks.
yeah,
I mean, he's been a big figure for a while, but
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Now that I know about him and looked him up, he's...
you and I are not always the most plugged in guys.
We're not. It's kind of...
Well, we don't.
We rely on a lot of help from people telling us what's what.
Including a heads up from my mom on this one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Thanks, Maura.
It was awesome. No, well, it helps to have eyes and ears in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well as here.
Absolutely.
Anywho.
Well, we have some fun stuff coming up. In addition to that, we've got our trip.
Hey guys.
This is a real world coming up thing.
We're doing a thing.
Yeah.
We're going out there. We're taking one for the
come
team.
meet you guys. Or some of you.
Yeah, those of you who are in the South,
yeah.
you better get your asses out and meet us.
It's gonna be fun.
It'll be fun.
And just some updates. We have an updated trip itinerary on our website.
Yeah, this one's locked and loaded.
And also you can find that on facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
Right.
But just quickly, we should probably just rattle off where we're going to be.
Okay.
Just in case. I mean, it might pique
Rattle
some
away.
people's attention. Monday, May 13th. That's coming up, folks. That's just right around the bend.
Yeah, yeah. Some of you will be listening to this after this date.
Yeah. We're going to be in the Texas Panhandle. So we're going to be in Amarillo and Groom, Texas. We'll probably spend the night in Groom.
In the one motel that they have there.
We may want to look someplace else.
We might. We'll see.
The next day, Tuesday, May 14th, we're going to have lunch in Wichita Falls. We already have somebody lined up to come.
Chad's going
to be there with us.
But anybody else who wants to have lunch with us in Wichita Falls, go ahead.
Yeah, let us know. And then Wednesday, May 15th, we're going to... we'll be spending the night on Tuesday in Dallas.
That's right. We'll be doing a thing. We'll be eating dinner with somebody in Dallas.
Well, and what's important there is that we're also going to be going to a museum that afternoon around 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to join us, it's the, what is it, the History of the Earth?
Yeah.
What is it called?
Something like that.
Museum of Earth History, Dallas is the name of the museum.
We're pretending like we know what history looks like.
But it's Bible. So we're going to go check that out.
So yeah, you guys, if you're in the Dallas area, come out with us for that, and then maybe some dinner and drinks after.
Following day, Wednesday, May 15th, we're going to get up and we're going to have lunch in Waco.
Yeah.
On our way to Houston, and then we're going to stay the night in Houston. Thursday, May 16th, this is our big party day in Houston. We're going to have a meetup that's been organized by the Houston Atheists.
It's great.
And that's going to be at the Fox and Hound Pub.
So grateful
over
to
on
them.
Westheimer Road, for those of you who know what that means.
Awesome. That was Vic that set that up for us.
Thank you, Vic. Friday, May 17th, we're going to drive to Shreveport. And we're just going to be looking around. We don't have anything. That's sort of a TBA, sort of what we're doing.
Nothing planned yet. So I mean,
if you're in the Shreveport area, let us know.
Let us know.
And we'll come do something with you.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah. Saturday, May 18th, we're going to head to Jackson, Mississippi.
I'm going to Jackson. That's all I'm going to be able to think about the entire time we're going.
We're going to wake up in Jackson on Sunday. And we're going to find church.
We're going to find a church. If you are anywhere near that area and you know of a good church that we need to go to Monday or Sunday morning in Jackson, Mississippi, please let us know.
And that's so we'll finally get another church review out.
Yeah.
With that one. And then we're going to head on to Montgomery, Alabama that same day and stay the night. Then we're going to get up and we have quite the day.
Yes.
We're going to go to the Ave Maria Grotto.
Hooray.
And we're going to go to the, what was it? The National... the Lost Bucket...
the abandoned luggage. The lost luggage thing in Alabama.
From like it's a TSA thing or something, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just where luggage goes to die, and we're going to go check it out.
I'm assuming it's just a thrift store, but nonetheless, probably a pretty cool thrift store.
We are gonna rifle through your stuff. Is what's gonna happen. But we're gonna end up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Yeah. Stay the night there.
We're hopefully gonna have someone local to teach us finally how to pronounce that damn place.
We're just taking a stab at it right now. And then we're gonna head on to Memphis. We're gonna try to get there before Graceland closes for the day.
Yeah.
We'd love to go check out Graceland. It's a pilgrimage, folks.
It is.
It's important.
It's religious.
You know? It's going to be a religious experience. It's going to be my third time in Graceland. I've been to Graceland twice in my life. That's not normal.
And you're not even an Elvis fan.
I'm not an Elvis fan, but
boy, you're a Kitsch fan.
I do like that. Wednesday, May 22nd, we're going to drive by Little Rock somewhere around lunchtime. So if anybody wants to join us in Little Rock.
If you're a Little Rockian and you eat lunch,
let us know.
We'll be on our way to Hot Springs, Arkansas. And apparently there's a bunch of weird shit there.
Yeah. And we'll stay the night there. Then Thursday, May 23rd, we're going to get up, drive to Muskogee County, Oklahoma, which is where my family's from. Do a little family stuff there on Thursday and Friday. I have a niece and nephew graduating from high school. And then Saturday morning, we're going to get up May 25th, and we're going to drive to Eureka Springs, Arkansas to check out the Passion Play.
And honestly, if you live anywhere even remotely near Eureka Springs,
please come.
You need to come out.
Please tag along.
We're going to be going to this Passion Play, and I think we need to go en masse. I think it would be so great.
This is going to be strength in numbers, people.
Yeah. I'm looking at you. Who is it? The Atheists of... There's a...
Atheists of...
There's like a group that's not far
Fayetteville?
from there.
Atheists of Fayetteville?
I'm looking at you, Atheists of Fayetteville. Get over to Eureka Springs with us. Come on. We'll all have a beer together. It'll be great.
And and especially like all of you godless, Walmart employees.
Yeah.
You should,
yes.
Because we know you've got to be there.
Yeah. Boy, if I worked for Walmart, I'd probably if I was a believer, I'm pretty sure that would be confirmation that there was no God.
Anyway. All right, and then we're going to push on from there the following day. On Sunday, we're going to drive up to Bonner Springs, Kansas, and there's a big non-believers, free thinkers, I think is what it is, party.
We may have to go to church in Eureka Springs Sunday morning.
We might.
That might
I'm
be
sure
great.
There's something there.
I'm sure there is.
There's got to be something
There's
there.
a giant Jesus. There's going to be something there.
And then we're going to do a quick stop in Topeka, sort of on our way back home on Monday.
On May 27th.
So that's going to be Memorial Day.
Okay, so here's the deal. That's all that. I don't want to spend too much time on it because those of you who aren't in those areas will get bored. But if you're in those areas, definitely let us know. We definitely want to hear from you. Mm-hmm. If you're not in those areas but you want to support us on this trip.
Absolutely.
There's some new buttons on thankgodimatheist.com. Some new links.
Mm-hmm.
If you look if you go to thankgodimatheist.com and you scroll down just a little bit on the right-hand side, there's buttons that say buy us a drink, buy us a meal, tank of gas, or night at a hotel.
Yeah.
And if you're a regular donor, you can still do this as well,
but we're not pressuring regular
nobody's
donors.
under any obligation on this. But, if you want to help us pay for this thing,
but
it would be great if you just jump on there and
if you've been wondering how you could help us, how you could support the podcast, this is a great way.
These are just set one-time donations.
Absolutely.
We've set the price.
Yep.
You just click and you will have helped us in our merry journeys.
Yes, and we will thank you in advance.
Indeed, and you will have earned your views of all of the videos and everything that we're making.
Yeah, of course. And this is, of course, something that you could. Yeah. So, anyways.
There you go.
All righty.
On to our stories.
On to what's going on in the world. What do you have, Dan?
Well, our top story today, it's not really a top story. Arkansas, Dateline. Do you want to play some audio for us?
Oh, yeah. I was
I'm going to let the actual news
banjo music. What
start
do you want me
this,
to...
just because the lady that they interview just delights me.
All right, here we go.
We serve a God, and we should have the right to serve that God anywhere.
The debate over prayer at school graduation hits a fever pitch again, this time in the Riverside School District. The school board voted last night not to have sixth grade graduation after a parent protested having prayer at the ceremony.
Veronica Smith joins us now with details of what happened at last night's school board meeting. She's here live. Veronica.
Craig and Diana, I spoke with parent Kelly Adams, who said prayer has never been an issue in this town before, and that's why a lot of parents are upset with last night's decision.
As Christians, mainly Christian town, I think, there was a lot of people that were just hurt that our rights were taken away.
Kelly Adams is the parent of a sixth grader at Riverside and said as long as she can remember, there has been prayer during the sixth grade graduation.
My daughter graduated last year from sixth grade. My son is graduating this year from sixth grade. And we had a pastor open our ceremony, and then my daughter actually closed the ceremony last year in prayer.
The school district decided to cancel the graduation ceremony this year after one parent came out and protested against prayer.
A lot of people were upset. A lot of the moms were really upset. I was very upset. And so we just went to just take a stand for God. We felt like our right was taken away.
Adams said the school received a letter from the American Civil Liberties Union regarding the possibility of prayer at graduation.
I realized they have rights too, but you can't take rights from one group and give them to another. We're Christians and we have the right to pray wherever we want.
So, yeah, what we got here is rights being taken away from Christians to pray in school.
It's terrifying when the rights of any of us are taken away. We all lose out.
It's so true. I think her understanding of the United States Constitution might be lacking slightly.
Yeah.
She might not quite understand that, actually, no, since the beginning you haven't had the right to pray. They have prayed for a long time.
Right.
But it's not really, that's not how it works.
Right. Yeah.
I do love that that the school district's whole approach to someone complaining is,
what a dick move.
We're canceling it. How do you like that? Is that what you want?
We refuse to have a godless graduation.
Fine.
We refuse. These sixth graders need some prayer.
Did you have a graduation from sixth grade?
No.
We didn't have graduation from sixth grade. It just ended.
We had kindergarten graduation, though. Did you have kindergarten graduation?
No.
We got all, they had little special, little hats for us, and we all walked around. It was crazy. It was awesome. Felt so special.
Did you?
There was eighth grade graduation. Did you do that?
Was there a prayer?
I don't remember.
No, I didn't.
Probably at my high school graduation there was.
Really?
Yeah.
In Oklahoma?
Yeah. I mean, there were prayers at football games. Still, public prayers.
Yeah.
And there had just been a major Supreme Court case, if I remember right. And the officials at the school were like, "Well, we won't ask someone to pray. We'll ask someone to ask someone to pray." And so it was some local minister or whatever.
Hey, was
the one who
a good sneaky way out.
Yeah.
What they needed to do was just be like, we don't do school prayer, but what we do is we give the microphone to one person right before each game, and they can say whatever they got to say.
Yeah, I think that. It was basically along those lines of
yeah.
We didn't tell them to pray. We didn't tell them not to pray.
Yeah, we just gave him the microphone, and the guy happened to have a priest's collar on, but whatever. He could have said anything. We just give him the mic. That's all we do. He's in charge of the mic for that 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, So we're going to be driving through this area, this Arkansas.
Yeah.
We're not going to be in that town, but
no.
It is a tragedy when the Christians aren't allowed to pray. It's so sad.
It It really.
I mean,
nothing's sadder than a Christian who's not allowed to pray.
How can they have a meeting without a prayer? It's almost like, I mean, if it would be okay if they could all just sort of individually pray beforehand or afterward. But
you mean on their own?
On their own, but how would they do that?
Or maybe as their family?
How is that even possible?
In small groups?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that seems like it would be a reasonable thing to do, but, I mean, you can't have a meeting without Jesus.
No.
Seems impossible.
No, surely not.
Surely not. We should be opening each of our podcasts with a prayer.
No.
No, I don't think
surely not.
I don't think so. All right, go do
All right. Well, I'm going to stay sort of in the region of our road trip.
Okay.
We talked about this a few podcasts ago. The cheerleaders in Texas with the lawsuit about that they would hold up these banners, right, with Bible verses on them.
Yeah, with Jesus all over them.
Yeah.
And then they won a court case, didn't they?
They just won a court case.
Oh, I thought they had won before.
No.
This isn't an appeal?
This is a judge on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Ruled that the Bible banners, is what they're calling them, waved by cheerleaders during football games in the small little school district in, where was it? I don't remember. Oh, the town is Kunzi.
How do you spell that?
I'm being generous with this pronunciation. Kountze.
County, Texas.
It's probably County, Texas. Yeah. Anyways, all right. So, State District Judge Stephen Thomas said that no law prohibits the cheerleaders from using religious-themed banners at school sporting events.
Really?
Well, yeah. I'm sure that law doesn't exist.
I'm pretty sure that there's a whole constitution that's here's the thing. You have to actually draw the line between, like, you have to ask the question, are these girls, I assume they're all girls in Texas, cheerleaders?
There could be some male cheerleaders.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, are these cheerleaders a representative of the school?
Exactly.
Or are they their own little
club? I was gonna
club?
go. Yep.
So,
are they private citizens or are they representatives of the school? Are they engaging in a school related activity?
Right.
Which, hello? Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is the cheerleading squad, I'm sure, is an official after school activity.
Right. Of the school.
Of the school.
I mean, they're wearing the school's colors. They're wearing the school's emblem, probably, or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure that their cheerleading coach is probably, like, one of the teachers.
Right.
Right.
Or in Texas, it occurs to me that it's possible that they could even just be the cheerleading coach. That could be their whole job.
It's, in
Texas,
it's totally possible.
Who knows?
But nonetheless,
football's very important there. We're going to be near there. They're just outside of Houston.
Yeah.
We're not going to go there.
No, we're not. But Annie Laurie Gaylor, who's the co-president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, who was the other people in the
litigants,
the litigants in the thing.
Sure.
She said the cheerleaders represent the school. This is exactly the question we were just asking.
There you go.
When they misuse their public podium to tell a captive audience that some of you have the right to religion and the rest of you need to convert, that is not only bad law, that's bad manners. I like that. But the judge has ruled that the messages on the banners have not created and will not create an establishment of religion in the County.
In the County.
County community.
There are a bunch of counties out there.
Yeah. Governor Rick Perry said, today's ruling is a win for free speech and religious freedom. The County high school cheerleaders showed great resolve and maturity beyond their years in standing up for their beliefs and constitutional rights.
And Jesus.
And Jeebus.
They were standing up for Jesus. By the way, right in that area, we're going to be driving right through a town called Nacogdoches.
Yeah.
Which is only a few miles away from another town called Natchitoches.
Oh, I bet that gets confusing.
Natchitoches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. You get on the Nacogdoches road.
Right. I'm going to take the 5:15 train from Nacogdoches to Natchitoches.
What did you just say?
I'm not sure. Anyway, All right, well, go Team Jesus is my response to that. See, I was cheerleading.
I saw what you did.
Yeah. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to leave that area of the country, the area that we're going to actually be going to, and I'm going to go to New York City. Crazy New York City, where Cardinal Dolan, his Eminence Timothy Cardinal Dolan, I didn't know that that's how you did it.
Really?
Yeah. On his own website, it says His Eminence Timothy Cardinal Dolan, like Cardinal has become his middle name.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, he recently wrote a blog post. He blogs,
as good bishops do.
They're all doing it these days.
Oh,
they're all blogging.
They are wired in.
they are
Tweeting.
Oh sure.
Facebooking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pontiff. at Pontiff or whatever, at Pontificate or something like that. Isn't that the Pope's handle?
Yeah, probably.
Twitter handle. Anyway, Cardinal Dolan wrote a blog post called "All Are Welcome."
Really?
Doesn't that sound nice?
Are they though?
No.
What? Okay.
It turns out not.
Oh.
He starts the blog post with a whole an anecdote about his buddy Freddie, when he was growing up, when he was 7 or 8. His buddy Freddie from across the street, and he were playing outside, and Freddie and he asked his mother if Freddie could come and join them for dinner.
Oh no!
And his mother said, "Yes, of course. As long as it was okay with Freddie's folks."
Yeah, that's common response.
And then Dad Cardinal Dolan said, "Freddie, glad you're here, but looks like you and Tim better go wash your hands before you eat."
Okay.
This is the metaphor.
Oh.
All are welcome, but you better wash your hands.
Oh.
Is kind of the thing. So he's saying welcome doesn't mean you're welcome unconditionally. It means you're welcome, but we have rules in this house.
Oh yeah.
And so obviously, and then he goes on and he talks about the church loves, welcomes, and respects the alcoholic, but would not condone his binge. The church loves, welcomes, and respects prominent business leaders, but would not condone his or her failure to pay a just wage to a migrant worker.
Really?
I guess. The church loves and welcomes and respects a young couple in love, but would challenge their decision to live together before marriage. Do you see where I'm going?
Oh.
Do you see where we're headed?
We're
going to get to the gays.
Gays are the new Rome. All roads lead to us.
Yes, it's so true. Because and it's clear that he had to search around for some of these examples before he got to the gays.
Yeah, well, because some of them are kind of forced.
Yeah, truly. How forced is that alcoholic thing? Come on.
Yeah.
Half of his priests are alcoholics, for crying out loud. Anyways, and then he gets to the queers, and he says, the church loves, welcomes, and respects a woman or man with a same-sex attraction.
Oh.
While reminding him or her of our clear teaching that while the condition of homosexuality is no sin at all, still God's teaching is clear that sexual acts are reserved for a man and woman united in lifelong, life-giving, faithful, loving bond of marriage.
Is God's teaching clear?
No. But Cardinal Dolan's teaching is very clear. Anyway, so the step 2 of phase 2 of this story is that a bunch of people, and by a bunch I mean 8? 12, something like that. Not a big group.
A crowd. A crowd of people.
A crowd of people decided to protest this little this little blog post by they wanted to go to church at St. Patrick's in Manhattan, and they dirtied their hands to go.
Clever,
right?
Yeah,
they're just saying. Apparently, they
should have gone drunk. They should have gone as alcoholics.
Then they would have gotten in, no problem. They let the church know that they were doing this minor little protest.
Okay.
They were going to be quiet. They were, they weren't raising a ruckus. They were denied entry.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the church does not welcome
Dirty hands.
dirty hands.
Well, they could have put out a basin, nice little basin, some water, just been like, "You're welcome, but you have to wash your hands."
Yeah, I think that's not the point. I think that this particular protest would have kindly refused the offer of washing their
And then
hands.
they could have been like, "Well, you got dirty hands. We can't let you in."
Well, that's kind of what they did.
Yeah.
They didn't offer the wash basin, but yeah they...
They should have carried out the metaphor.
I mean, they clearly understood the metaphor. Well, I mean, the church clearly understood what the protest was, and they were saying, no.
Yeah.
No. We reject you, gays.
Ew.
We reject you, gays.
Dirty-handed gays.
You dirty-handed gays.
Who knows where those hands have been?
I know exactly where they've been, and I don't want to, and I can't. It disgusts me.
Stroking the hair of another man. That's vile.
Winding lovingly through his chest hair. Never. Not in my church.
Oh,
all right. Well, so there you go.
Yeah, okay.
No dirty hands there.
Okay.
Keep your hands clean.
Okay, well, I've got, let's see, what have I got? Let's look at, well, we've been talking about the gays. Might as well go to, talk about Methodism.
Ooh.
The Methodists.
They have a method.
They do.
For how they deal with gays.
And the United Methodists are, they still don't like the gays.
Okay.
They don't.
Good. Good. Then all is right in the world.
Yeah, it's important. However, the Reverend Dr. Thomas W. Ogletree of the United Methodist Church, who teaches at Yale.
Oh, yeah. He's all liberal then. Somebody got to him. Some liberal got to him.
His son, who is gay.
Oh, it was his son.
Who also asked him to officiate his marriage. His wedding.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
Did he do it?
And he did. And now he's in hot water. Dr. Ogletree, who is 79 years old, is now facing like church action or church court, right? Because fellow member of the clergy, what was his name? Page, Reverend Randall C. Page.
No, what? No doctor?
Nope. He's pastor of Christ Church in Port Jefferson Station, New York.
Okay.
He's quoted as saying, "This ceremony is a chargeable offense."
Oh dear.
And so, anyways, they've met and trying to work out the dispute without a church trial. But Ogletree says, I basically think he's talking. He says this is an unjust law. Dr. King broke the law. Yeah. Jesus of Nazareth broke the law. Yeah. He drove the money changers out of the temple. So you mean you should never break any law, no matter how unjust it is?
Wow.
Yeah.
This is how change begins.
This is.
They're in trouble.
And this is a high profile, very sort of respected member of their clergy.
Yeah, and he's 108 years old, so that's awesome.
He's old. He has two homosexual children out of 5.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's good odds.
A lesbian and a gay. And
the only gay in the village.
Yeah.
Not even the only gay in the family. That's awesome.
Yeah. He and so anyways, they did the whole ceremony at the Yale Club in New York. And he incorporated readings from Scripture and the Massachusetts court decision legalizing same-sex marriage.
Oh, great.
And, of course, doing the right thing lands him in hot water.
Yeah, well, that'll happen.
But how nice is that?
I think it's delightful.
A Methodist minister.
I think it's delightful.
Doing what a father would do in that position. He marries his son.
Yeah.
What a good father would do.
Yeah. And he is a Reverend Holy Father who would do that.
And he's that kind of father, too.
He's all the kinds of father.
He's a little fathered out.
He's topped up on father. Well,
I thought that was just some good news.
That is some good news.
In the gay and religious news.
One hates to one-up you, but I'm gonna. I'm gonna.
Okay.
This one kind of blew my mind, as a matter of fact.
Okie doke.
You know, you are aware, of course, of the group now called the Community of Christ.
Sure.
Which is formerly the reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Right. These were the people who did not travel west with Brigham Young.
Right.
These are the Mormons who stayed in Missouri and followed the lineage of Joseph Smith.
Which, it could be argued, is more legitimate.
Oh, yeah.
In the Mormon tradition.
They had a far better claim than mainstream Mormonism.
Right. So mainstream Mormonism split off. Okay, so just a brief background. Joseph Smith at one point did say that the next prophet and president of the church would be his son.
Right.
Then he died, and most of the people claimed that it just went to Brigham. They just followed Brigham Young.
Claimed that it went to Brigham Young.
Brigham Young made a claim, and then a bunch of people claimed that they saw a vision.
Those visions came. There are the accounts.
The reports of the visions came much later. Okay, but
nonetheless,
there are reports of a vision of his face.
Children in the LDS Church still learn that Brigham Young's face turned into Joseph Smith's face while he was speaking to the crowd of Mormons while he was claiming the leadership of the church.
Right, yeah. Anywho, so this reorganized LDS Church, much smaller group, stuck around in Missouri.
Yeah,
didn't go to Salt Lake City, and
didn't get all crazy about the word of wisdom.
No.
Because that was Brigham Young's stuff.
Yeah,
that came even after Brigham Young.
Well,
where the Mormons got really crazy. About the word of wisdom.
Locking it down came in the 1930s or something.
20s, 30s, yeah,
something like that.
There.
Anyway, so the church now they're calling this reorganized LDS Church call themselves the Community of Christ. There's about 250,000 members they claim worldwide. Probably a little inflated, but
as you do.
250,000, not that much. I'm going to give it to them. We'll just say it's around there.
They seem like an honest bunch.
Indeed. Well, they apparently have their national conference, and then and the way that their setup works is that there are delegates. So the communities, each of the sort of
kind of democratic somehow,
a little bit.
Oh, interesting.
And as a democratic, as a somewhat democratic association, they had a vote, and they voted that to recommend to the leadership of the church. All the delegates voted to recommend to the leadership of not all of them, but I'm saying that the vote came through that they should recommend allowing for the ordination of gay people and marriages or covenant commitment services for gay couples.
Good on them.
Ba-bam!
A branch of Mormonism.
You with it? People, you hearing me on this one? Mormons.
Like the actual...
Loving on the queers.
The rightful owners of the name Mormon.
Right. Who have since been forced to abandon it.
Right.
Because they lost.
Did they?
Well, they clearly.
Oh, they lost. Right. In sort of the court of public opinion.
Right.
But anyways. Yeah.
So there you go. They are on board.
Yeah.
So wherever it's legal, they are now the church leadership still has to approve it.
Oh.
But all indicators point to they just will.
Right.
And then they're down with marriage, and they're down with the ordination of gay.
That's amazing.
Gay people into the priesthood.
That's amazing. Huh.
Who knew? These cats in Independence, Missouri.
Yeah.
Are doing something good.
Yeah. Well, the church would have turned out wildly different had it not moved west.
It would have turned out wildly different, and had it not been had the second guy, leader of the Mormon church, not been such a hard-on.
Douchey McBaggerson? Yeah.
Honestly.
Yep.
So there you go. Because Joe Smith himself was just kind of a wacky nut.
Yeah.
I liked that guy.
mildly harmless. When he wasn't
when he wasn't
breaking up,
marrying 15-year-olds and whatever,
and destroying printing presses of rival newspapers. And
he was still a nut, but
he was a character.
But I mean, he was like.
But he was kind of that fun Western sort of old-timey crazy.
Yeah,
it was kind of like him.
Yeah, there was like this whole thing, like ordain a black man. I don't know. Sure, well, let's just do that. You got the priesthood now. Have fun with that. I don't know. Everybody's mad, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Women. All right. Yeah, you can have a priesthood too.
Yeah,
that's fine.
The historically accurate Joseph Smith is far more interesting than the
Mormon
whitewashed Mormon one.
Oh yeah, the Mormon one. Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about the Joseph Smith who was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't drink alcohol or use tobacco or whatever, and then like was drinking a glass of wine the night before he died. Like, come on,
partying it up. Well,
yeah, he was making like rule. He was like, yeah, this is probably a good idea. I don't listen to it, but it's a good idea.
Isn't that why he fell out the window when he was being assassinated?
He was drunk.
He was
He's like, hey, look at all those guys with guns. Woohoo! Boom.
That's terrible. It's just awful. That's interesting, though. You know, my sister-in-law is RLDS.
Community
grew
of
up
Christ.
RLDS.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. There you go.
Yeah.
She might like you then.
Yeah, her parents have since left. They don't agree with all this
gay
new stuff.
It
was long before then.
Right.
They're sort of, they hold a little bit more strongly to the Book of Mormon and the teachings of Joseph Smith and the modern RLDS or Community of Christ tends to.
They're a nutty bunch.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about them.
I know.
I kind of want to meet some.
Well, we could, but we're not
really
there.
Going up. That's a little too far north for us.
It's out of the way.
Next time.
Yeah.
We got lots of other trips to take.
Yeah, we do.
Depending on how this one goes.
Yeah, if this one's a colossal failure,
we'll reconsider.
It might be the end of everything for us. Anyways. All right. So you've heard of Sylvia Browne, right?
Only recently have I heard of Sylvia Browne.
I sort of was in the same boat. Sylvia Browne, celebrity psychic, right? Psychic to the stars.
Yes.
Right. Well, actually, I don't know if she was a psychic to the stars, but she was definitely a celebrity psychic.
Yes.
And she was famous for getting involved in like ongoing investigations, like kidnapping, missing persons investigations, right? Where most likely the person was kidnapped or met some sort of unfortunate but the body had not turned up or the person had not been returned. People would seek out the psychic talents of one Sylvia Browne. She was actually a regular on the Montel Williams show.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, and what fine programming that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, anyways, she sort of resurfaced in the news because she, back in, what was it, like 1999? No. Before, when would it have been? It would have been 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
When who is it? Amanda Berry, right? Went missing.
Right.
Sylvia Browne was, and Amanda Berry was one of the three women in Ohio who just recently escaped from her captor.
Right.
Anyways, big story. Obviously, it's been huge in the news and everything. Well, Sylvia Browne made a prediction about 10 years ago that Amanda Berry was dead. Oh. And of course she knew.
Using her psychic powers.
She knew.
She knows what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what that means?
What does it mean?
This lady's not Amanda Berry. The lady that was just rescued is a fraud.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, Browne told the mother of Amanda Berry on the Montel Williams show. Yeah. So there's a LexisNexis transcript of the thing.
Speaking directly to the mother.
Speaking to the mother, she says, "She's not alive, honey. Your daughter's not the kind who wouldn't call." That's what she said. Berry, of course, was found alive on Monday.
Oh, good Lord.
So, but anyways.
I mean, you know what? This is not, I do not think like anything serves right the mother of of someone who has had their daughter go missing.
Right.
But please, people, can we stop believing in psychics?
Psychic.
Now? Yeah. It's not a harmless thing.
Clearly.
This is a harmful thing.
Well, let's get to how it's harmful. I pulled up an article. It's sort of a study into the 115 cases that Sylvia Browne gave her opinion on.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And these were all of these had transcripts on LexisNexis because she was on television.
Right.
And the LexisNexis has this great catalog of transcripts of television shows.
There you go.
Okay. And so so you're able to just go search.
Sure.
So these researchers were like, well, let's find out. They found 115 cases. And of those 115, how many do you think she got right? And by the way, she self-reports that she has an 85% accuracy.
Okay. And these are cases that they're able to determine what the end result is.
Yes.
Okay.
115 cases where we know the status of whether the person was found, whether the person turned up, whether it was a body, whether it was a kidnapping, whatever. We know what they were. Some of them are still not found.
Right.
Right.
Well, of course, she wouldn't lie. So I'm going to say it's in the neighborhood of that 85% or whatever. I'm going to say 2%.
Oh.
I'm going to say that's as close as she comes.
Okay. She was correct 0 times. And she was patently wrong 25 times.
Meaning she said something so far from... how do you differentiate that?
Okay, so 90 out of the 115 cases have unknown outcomes, is what the article says.
Oh, well then how can we verify that she was wrong?
Because... Okay, let's keep going.
Frank, just give me his... Let me finish, look.
Okay, so, all right. I guess, all right. In 21, the details were too vague to be verified.
Okay.
Of the remaining 14, okay, so let me previously, okay. So this is looking at 35 cases. Of the remaining 14, law enforcement officials or family members involved in the investigation say that Browne had played no useful role.
Okay.
Okay, so she hadn't led them in the right direction, right? So she says the body is over there.
Right.
The body wasn't there.
Right.
So she's wrong.
Yes.
Well, or the outcome of the case is unknown. I think that's how they're defining that.
Okay.
Whereas where she's wrong is when she said the person's dead and the person shows up and is alive.
Right.
Or the person, I know this person's alive, and like she has specific details, like she has a whole story, a whole narrative,
right?
And then it turns out that like nothing about that. I mean, it's almost 180 difference. Okay, so let's look at one of these. In 1999, Browne did a reading for Opal Jo Jennings' grandmother. Opal Jo Jennings was a 6-year-old who was abducted from her front yard in Texas.
Oh my.
Browne told the grandmother, she's not dead. But what bothers me, now, I've never heard of this before, but for some reason she was taken and put into some kind of slavery thing and taken into Japan. The place is Kokuro or Kokura. Okay?
I love that you acted that. Okay, well, I mean, it makes sense. A Texan going to slavery in Japan. Okay, sold into slavery in Japan.
That's what she told the grandmother. Okay,
which is clearly what happened.
However, Richard Lee Franks was charged with the kidnapping and the whole whatever else that would go along with that very same year. In 1999. And he was convicted the following year. Jennings' remains were discovered in 2003.
Oh, dear.
And they fit the story of the court case.
Were they at least discovered in Japan?
No.
Oh!
No.
Dang it! How am I supposed to believe in this woman?
In fact, medical examiners concluded that Opal was killed by trauma to the head within several hours of her abduction.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how they figured that out.
Strangely. it does seem like the conclusion is that this is not a very good psychic.
No.
Although I do have to say that, I think we have to rule out all of these we don't know cases, unless she made a specific, she's in the basement at the Alamo type of a prediction, and they can go and verify, she's not in the basement at the Alamo, because there's no basement in the Alamo.
Right.
You're with me on that?
Yeah,
I'm doing a
sure.
Pee-wee
yeah,
thing.
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
Anyway, unless there's something that's verifiable, I don't think we can call her wrong. I object to that.
Mm.
But I think we can call her a fraud without any problems.
So there's a difference between, because what they're saying is that there were these 25 that were wrong.
Right.
And they know, so while they don't know the outcome of those other ones, they know that the information that she gave them was not helpful.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. If she said specifically, the body is in X place, and they search X place thoroughly and the body's not there, then I think we can call her wrong. But if she just said the body's somewhere in, Western Tennessee.
Okay. Well, let's look at a few of these where she was wrong.
Okay.
Okay. So we can get a sense of what they're doing, right? And how they're saying she's wrong.
Okay.
Erica Baker is one of the people that she was wrong about. On Montel's show back in 2003, Brown told Erica's mother she's not dead, but in Michigan. Furthermore, Brown claimed someone sold her for drugs, and there was a black woman who helped throw her into an old truck. In 2005, Christian John Gabriel was convicted of moving and concealing Erica's body in Kettering, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Her body was not found, but Gabriel claimed to have buried it after hitting her with his van.
Okay.
So what they have is they have two stories that she's wrong by their definition, because they have an actual story.
They have a conviction. They have it went through the legal process.
Wrong. That is right?
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones are still open cases. They're not resolved. All they know is that her information didn't lead them to the body.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I have no objection.
So she is wrong in those as well.
But
she's just not fully 100% verifiably wrong.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we can't count those ones against her in the way that we can count the ones where we know she was wrong.
Well,
That's
if she
what I'm
says
saying.
body is over there and body's not there.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And I think that those are still in the other category.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all I'm saying. Okay. Well, there are ways to get a hold of us, people.
Yeah.
If you want to, you can, if you have anything to say about any of these stories, you can write to us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can follow us on Facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
Yeah.
Is where you'll find us.
Yeah, come and join that conversation. Or you can even leave a voicemail for us at 424-666-TGIA, which is 424-666-8442.
Yes. Also, something cool that's new is we just started up a magazine.
Ooh, we've got a magazine
on Flipboard, which isn't nearly as exciting as a magazine might be. But anyways, if you use Flipboard, look for us. It's just the Thank God I'm Atheist magazine. We'll be aggregating interesting stories.
Sure.
With regards to topics that we would be
collecting stuff
interested in.
Yeah.
So religious-y, non-religious-y,
Flipboard,
kind of
for those of you
stuff.
like me who had never heard of Flipboard, it's an app.
Yeah.
That you can get for your iPad or your iPhone or your tablet that is not an iTablet, but that is an Android.
That's true.
Thing.
It's just an app. It's a really cool app. I've been using it for quite a while actually now. And I quite enjoy it. And so when I saw that they were letting users generate their own magazines,
no, you have to be really special to get a magazine on there. Don't think that just anybody can do this.
No, anybody can. And if you'd like to start your own,
go ahead.
You could do that.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
But if you want to just read ours, that's fine too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Let's take a quick break.
Yeah.
And we're going to listen to Chuck Norris. He's
got a message for all of us.
He's got an important message.
Hello, I'm Chuck Norris, and this is my wife, Gina. We're here to talk to you about the National Council on Bible Curriculum in public schools.
Chuck and I believe it's very important to have a Bible curriculum in every public school in America.
Our forefathers founded this country on biblical principles, and they never intended the Bible to be removed from our schools.
Here in America, religion forms the foundation of our way of life, and the Bible is part of that religious foundation.
In fact, the Bible is currently being taught as history and literature in various school districts in 33 states, with the Bible as the textbook.
You may ask, is this legal? And the answer is yes. The Supreme Court has ruled that it is.
I should also mention that 92% of the school boards approached with this idea have voted it in. We can change the course of our country, and God knows we need it.
If you would like to help, here's how.
Call 1-888-BIBLE-NOW.
Thank you.
Very important. Please call that number.
Please call that number.
Yeah.
We need more Bibles in schools.
If there's anything that America's schools need now,
it's Biblication.
Certainly
Edu-Bible.
Let's not worry about, good quality, what is it? The STEM, the science, technology.
Yeah. If we want to be ahead in the world, on the world stage, and stay number one,
right?
Economically powerful and all of those things, nothing's more important than Jesus,
right?
In that, because you know what? People say that you're not going to learn any engineering. How about ark building?
Oh, absolutely.
What about that?
Oh, yeah.
Tower building, and multilinguality in the Tower of Babel.
Absolutely, yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
Any
you learn a lot.
You can learn a lot.
You learn a lot. You learn why rainbows exist.
Mm-hmm. You can learn how to carry out a good genocide.
If you need to. Important.
If you need that.
In this day and age, let's face it, folks.
There's a lot of Mexicans coming into this country.
Dan, I was going to take it in a slightly different direction. But
I'm sticking with Chuck Norris. I'm guessing he hates Mexicans.
Oh, you don't know that.
I know that I've seen him fight a bunch of Asians.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
on his movies.
I have to admit,
but he got his ass kicked by Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
As well he should.
Yeah. I have to admit I've never seen any of his television shows or movies.
We have a friend who was on one episode of Walker, Texas Ranger.
No, I know.
We need to see that.
I've seen the clip.
Have you?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, I got to see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Walker, Texas dickhead.
Yeah.
Is all I have to say.
Bible thumping Jack. Whatever.
Okay. Weird stuff.
Yeah.
Well, from education that's not education, let's move on to education that is education.
Oh, okay.
We Dr. Lawrence Krauss is
emails.
Oh, we got to do emails. God damn it. Frank looks at me like I'm an asshole.
It's just if I didn't look at you like you're an asshole first time you did that.
Right? I do this sometimes.
You do it every week. You do it every week.
We have emails from people. Hooray for emails! So I'm gonna dive into those without any further chastisement from
fine.
Frank.
That's cool.
Cullen wrote to us, and he had some stuff to say about things we should see in Texas.
Awesome.
But he also said this. He said he was born and raised in a small town in Oklahoma.
Oh. Did he say the town?
He did. Prairie Creek.
Oh, okay.
A little east of Tulsa.
Wow, okay.
So he says that there's at least one more of us Okie atheists out there.
Yeah.
He said, I think your recent guest summed it up very well when he said it's about being known. I've always been, he's referring to Paige, our interview with Paige Palmer.
Yeah.
I've always been an atheist, but have never had a person to confide in until recently. I transferred to the University of Texas in Arlington and changed majors to geology about a year ago. I've been surprised at the nonchalant manner my new science major friends have with their atheism, even using the word in public, which is strange and kind of exhilarating. Like when you do something taboo, which is a strange and kind of exhilarating experience for me. I finally feel I have found people that I can talk to and be known to.
Awesome.
I'm surprised at the feeling of unburdening relief that I have now. I never realized the weight that came with carrying around a secret and hiding myself from the world until I was able to be open with people.
Wow.
Keep up the good work.
Awesome.
He says. He also says, I love that you guys are not angry atheists, by the way. It is the responsibility of reasonable people to consider all points of view, and I think that is what gets left out of the conversation. We are not atheists because we hate religion, but because we have found it to be unreasonable, illogical, and of no use to us, in my humble opinion. But I digress. Anyway, I think that's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear that.
Yeah, and
I think it's important to hear that.
For those of you out there who live in a shroud of silence, I feel you. It's a heavy burden to bear, and it's good to hear that you don't even know how heavy it is until you finally are able to lift it.
Yeah.
So thanks, Cullen.
Yeah,
for
thank
that.
you very much.
We had Karen write to us. She says, hi, Frank and Dan. A while back, you answered an email of mine about my upcoming semester in Morocco and how I might deal with my atheism while in a very religious country. Do you remember this?
I do remember this,
It was a while back. Welcome back,
Yeah.
Karen. Apparently, you're back.
Apparently, you survived.
And survived. She says, I just finished my semester and everything went really well. Your advice about not talking about it was pretty good, and I managed to avoid almost all awkwardness. If someone was really persistent, I would just tell them that I was a non-practicing Christian.
Ooh.
In Morocco, there are a lot of non-practicing Muslims, which basically means atheists, so it all worked out.
So she figured out the local code.
Yeah.
Adapted it to fit her.
Indeed.
I like it.
Indeed.
Cool.
Normally, which seems like our advice to her may have been not in keeping with our advice that Cullen took, but as Paige pointed out, there are situations where you got to keep it to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you're traveling,
your personal safety, as we may learn in the weeks upcoming,
there will be. I'm not wearing my "Thank God I'm Atheist" T-shirt
everywhere.
No,
there will be times when we will be circumspect. when we will be thoughtful in our in when we choose to say what we are. Anyway, she says, Karen also says, my comment this time is in response to your discussion of homeschooling in episode 76.
Okay.
I was actually homeschooled until I was in 7th grade, but not for religious reasons. In fact, both of my parents are atheists and have science degrees, and I was raised completely without religion, at least from my parents. My grandparents are another story. Their reasoning was that they didn't want me to hate learning because of the public school system. Growing up, I never...
Seems reasonable, actually.
Growing up, I never thought of my type of education as generally being practiced by the very religious who are trying to keep their children away from science education. In fact, it is only something that I have recently begun to realize. I don't think my parents helped... I think my parents helped me become more skeptical and scientifically minded by letting me guide my own education and questioning everything around me. I don't see homeschooling as necessarily better for atheist kids, but I do appreciate the perspective I have gained from it.
Huh. Well, that's cool.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
I mean, I think when we were talking about it, we were just making the assumption and running with the assumption that homeschoolers are Christians who are they're sort of terrified about. There's something about the public schools that terrifies them. That there's this indoctrination.
Well, they won't even allow prayer at 6th grade graduation, for Christ's sake.
I mean, clearly, this is a problem.
I'm gonna have to pull my kids out of school.
Yeah.
What are they learning?
I was just thinking it was kind of the Glenn Becky sort of thing.
And
so it's interesting to hear from somebody who was kept out of the public schools
and probably got a better education. Because of it. Yeah. I believe that I took the stance that homeschooling can be fine on that episode.
Oh, I know I didn't.
No, you didn't. But yeah, no, we appreciate your perspective, Karen. That's kind of awesome.
I hadn't thought about it that way. So
yeah,
good to hear.
Yeah, pull your kids out of school.
Yeah,
quick, everybody, pull your kids. Don't do that. I mean, if you can, great. I doubt most people have time. So Nancy says she's writing in reference to we announced Colorado had civil unions, and we were kind of disappointed that they didn't go full gay marriage, but they're doing civil unions now.
Right.
She just wanted to give us a little heads up on the reasoning. She says Colorado only has civil unions because in 2006 a bunch of the bigots in the state got a constitutional amendment passed forbidding gay marriage. I expect that another amendment will eventually be passed that gets rid of it. Unless a SCOTUS ruling makes it irrelevant first. But until then, civil unions is the best we can do.
So it's a little workaround.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
Absolutely. I do want to do a shout out, a huge thanks to Leanne, who is now a monthly subscriber. That is amazing, and Frank would be thanking you too if he didn't have to cough.
Oh, thanks, Leanne.
Samuel wrote to us. He has a great idea. He says he was thinking about our upcoming road trip and was wondering what favorite atheistic tunes we'd be listening to.
Oh, good question.
He has 2 suggestions. He suggested Burkowski by Modern Mouse and Blue Spotted Tail by Fleet Foxes.
Fantastic.
You got excited by this one.
Well, first of all, I like both those bands.
Right.
So, yeah. I think that's a great idea. I think what I would love, I didn't come up with songs that I'm going to put on my list, but what I would like to do...
particularly listen for atheist themes in music.
Yeah, although I had identified the Modest Mouse one. But nonetheless, I think this is a great question just to send out to our listeners. Tell us what atheist-themed music, or music that you feel has an atheist theme.
Get us going on this playlist, people.
Godless theme. Send us your suggestions.
Yeah. We'll have plenty of time to listen to music.
Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com. Send us an email.
Let us know. Or do it on the Facebook page.
Or do it on Facebook.
The blog or whatever. Right. Eric, you'll recall that Eric has written to us from Sweden before. Eric from Sweden. He says, Sweden here again. I've listened to your back catalog, and there's still an aspect of the Mormon mission that I'm really curious about. You might have mentioned it, and in that case, shame on me. Well, shame on you anyway. And here's why. Shame on you for eating every food you have out of tubes. Because when I was in Sweden, every food was in a tube. They had everything.
Yeah.
Whipped caviar in a tube.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's what having one of the highest standards of living in the world will get you.
Tube food.
Tube food.
It's delicious. It's fun. Anyway, fish in a tube. You don't know. Everything's in a tube.
Oh.
He says, when I was in high school, there were 2 young American Mormons strolling around town. At that time, me and my friends were into death metal and looked the part.
Oh, wow.
That's the other thing Sweden has.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of fun.
Huh.
So I'm sure they never bothered with trying to convert us or whatever they were doing.
Converting.
Yep, that's it.
You hit that one on the head.
We talked to them and said hi whenever we came across them. I remember they had suits and name badges with the prefix. I'm gonna attempt a Swedish word now. Äldste.
Oh.
Which means elder. On them. I'll be honest. We thought they were kind of weird and goofy.
They were.
They were more backwards than our parents at such a young age. However,
Probably.
they did not really. They seemed really uncomfortable, and I sensed a kind of awkwardness in them. I don't know what I expected, but they didn't strike me as devout at all. So my question is the mission at all embarrassing? How do young Mormons look at going abroad? Do you get to choose where you go? In that case, why one of the world's most secular countries?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay, I got answers.
You're the missionary between
the
missionary,
two of us. Yes. Okay. So, no, you do not get to choose where you're going.
Correct.
They pick a spot and you have to go.
Isn't there a place when you put in your papers? Do they let you write where
you
preference
or something?
I think you can like that.
I don't think.
But
you can list foreign languages you've studied and that kind of stuff, but I don't think they actually.
And 9 times out of 10,
preference.
You get something entirely different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when my letter arrived and I opened it and it said, that I was going to Rome.
Yeah.
That was a complete shock and surprise, and I was kind of blown away.
Yeah.
So yeah, total surprise. How do Mormons and like, how do they feel like leading up to it? They're very excited, right? This is a big time. It's kind of a rite of passage into adulthood.
It's like the boring version of Rumspringa.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of. But it has a high success rate for retaining people who, I mean, there are definitely plenty of returned missionaries who stray away from the church. It definitely does happen. But it also returns people back into the fold who are now fervent in their beliefs.
They are on board 100%.
Yeah. You kind of go either way, I think. It's the time when you get to make up your mind about the church.
You stop considering. You stop asking questions after you've done your mission.
You have it figured out by the end of the mission. So anyways,
how about embarrassment?
Embarrassment, yeah.
Did you find it embarrassing?
God, I hated it. I hated it at first. It was just awful.
Going door to door.
Stupid suit thing with backpack
and
just walking around.
Language as well.
You
just How can you not find that embarrassing?
It was awful. I really initially really hated it. I got over it with regard to certain aspects, certain activities. I can knock doors all day. I still could probably.
And you're fine.
I'm fine.
It's why Mormons make really good door-to-door salespeople. And they are recruited.
Yeah.
For that.
I seriously should have gone and done that because some of those guys make a ton of money.
It's true.
What's the thing they sell?
It's all pest removal and
pest control,
and home security systems.
Yep.
If your door has been knocked by someone selling you pest removal or home security, I guarantee you they've been to Provo, Utah. Just ask them.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Provo?
Are you a BYU student? Almost guaranteed. A lot of guys pay for their education doing that during the summer and then coming back. But anyways, I can knock doors all day long. Doesn't bug me at all. I cannot stand on a street corner though with a little A-frame little display thing that says, "Ask me about the plan of salvation," and you're like, "Oh, this is the worst."
I've stood on a street corner with a whole bunch of Mormons and with a sign that said, "Ask me how much fun I've had since I realized God is fake."
Yeah, I know you did.
All of you know I did.
Yeah.
I hope.
Also, if you weren't embarrassed,
you should have been. I should have been.
Any normal person would have been, Dan.
For that? Did you see my outfit? Who could be embarrassed in a jumpsuit like that? All right. Well, thanks, Eric. Tom wrote to us, and this one got buried. I lost this one, and now I'm bringing it back.
Okay.
He wrote to us on the Facebook page and said, "The company I work for is very adamant about getting an associate degree. It is a Christian company that pushes its belief on us employees, and as an atheist, I have issues with it. But I have a family to support. In order to get a raise, I have to get an associate's degree. And I was wondering, as an atheist, would it be wrong to get a degree in theology?
Oh.
I would only be doing it for the raise and to, quote, know my enemy, religious people, better than they know themselves. I'm not sure who to talk to about this, and you guys always give good advice to the atheist community."
I think it sounds like a great idea.
Sure.
I'd love to go get a degree in theology.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're interested in it, if you're not going to be bored to tears the whole time, then sure.
And if you're not going to be thoroughly annoyed by the people in the classes.
Oh my God, yeah.
That would be my main concern. It would have to be like, I'd have to know what the program was really like. I'd have to really research it, maybe sit in on some classes beforehand and see if I really liked it.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be fascinating to like actually spend a couple years just delving into theology. I think it'd be really interesting.
It could be. This poor guy. I just keep thinking he's got to work for a bunch of Christians in a Christian-y environment, and that would be rough.
Well,
I feel for you.
If that's your only option, I would say go for it, get the raise, and move on.
Sure.
If you have the option of something else to get an associate's in, it might be beneficial to your career long term.
Yeah, sure.
To get it in something else.
Yeah.
Because are you really going to go use that theology degree?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. I mean, you could go. I'd say if you really want to pursue theology as a point of interest, don't just get the associates. Just keep going until you can get into academia and then be a theology professor.
Right.
As a theory sort of thing.
Right.
That's better. But, I mean, obviously you need whatever job you need.
Yeah.
If it interests you, great, go for it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't interest you, then, see what other associates they offer.
Yeah. Personally, it might be smarter to get something in like marketing or communications.
Yeah, I mean, let them. I assume that they're going to help you pay for this associate's degree.
Yeah.
Let them pay for the degree that will get you out of their company.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's what I say.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Get a degree that's going to get you away from the Jesus freaks.
Oh, poo.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, well,
we have a voicemail.
We do have a voicemail, and this is coming from Jason in Panama.
Yeah. Hi, Jason.
It kind of breaks up in the middle. I'm going to try to see what I can do
with editing or whatever.
But yeah, let's just listen, and apologies about the connection. It was a little rough.
Good morning, Frank and Dan. This is Jason. Thank you for the shout-out. A few episodes ago, I just got the episode downloaded when I hacked out my site in Panama. Anyway, I'm calling because you guys are talking about dreams and how people can tend to see their dreams as like a vision of the future. And I wanted to let you know that in the novice community where I live, it has the idea that dreams are opposites, which is pretty interesting. So, like, if you dream something terrible happens, that's good news. And if you dream something nice happens, then that means something really bad is going to happen. So all of the dreams that people have talked about on your podcast, if a Nave heard about them, they would come up with the exact opposite conclusion. Anyway, have a good day. Bye.
Is he talking about the blue people from that James Cameron movie?
That's where he is?
Yeah. He's
in Pandora?
He's on Pandora.
Oh, my goodness.
He's mining unobtainium.
Have you obtained it yet?
You can't.
Have you found the unobtainium?
You can't. It's unobtainable. Anyway, thanks for calling, Jason.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's... Anytime you start to associate dreams with actual reality rather than with your own sort of psychic... And not psychic in the sense of... Like psychic in the sense of your psyche, not in the sense of predicting things.
Sure.
But yeah, if anytime you associate with dreams with actual reality versus just your psycho-emotional reality, you might be making a mistake.
Yeah.
You might be giving it a little more credence than
perhaps
than your dream.
Yes.
Might.
However, I do like that they take this like they've added superstition onto superstition.
Yeah,
right.
They've flipped it on its ear.
It's like you have it's the whole knock on wood thing, right? You say it, you're tempting fate. The opposite's going to happen.
I do like the idea that you wake up from a nightmare and you're like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that was terrible. This is going to be a great day. But the opposite is also, like, that's majorly screwed up. You're like, you wake up from a dream where you've been, like, soaring through the clouds, and you're, like, happy. And you're like, oh, shit. That's a bad... We're in trouble.
I wonder if instead they would interpret a flying through clouds dream as... They would want it to be terrifying.
Right.
I was up there. I was flying through the clouds. It was awful.
They're trying to turn all of their happy dreams into sad ones.
I was running through a field, and there were these horrible flowers everywhere. Their wonderful smell was awful.
I felt this amazing, horrible feeling of joy. It was amazing. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Everybody's got their own deal.
Yeah. Might as well. Okie dokie.
Oh, so now should I do the other thing?
Yeah.
That I tried to do and then
do the other thing. Now you can, Dan.
Yay. Okay, so speaking of, we've had actually science and education's come up a number of times.
Come up a lot in this show.
Show. So I'm glad that we're going to be talking.
It was obviously on our mind.
To Dr. Krauss. This is Lawrence Krauss. Well, Dr. Krauss, thanks for coming on the show.
It's great to be here virtually.
Virtually, yes, indeed. So a lot of our listeners may know you, but some may not. You are a theoretical physicist and professor at Arizona State University. Is that right?
Yes, and director of the Origins Project here.
That's right.
Studies everything from the origins of the universe to the origins of consciousness.
That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
I like to think so.
Well, so what are you working on with with Origins right now? Is there something?
Well, we just finished some big Origins public events, a preview of a test screening of a new movie that Richard Dawkins and I just did, and then we had another public event on the storytelling of science, where some of the group of the most well-known and accomplished scientists, popularizers in the world, were on stage all together. Me and Richard Dawkins and Brian Greene and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye and Ira Flatow.
Wow.
And had a great night. And so each of them, I'm very pleased that we can fill up 3,000 people for each of our events.
Yeah.
People. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Sounds
for science.
great.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, I wish I had been there. It sounds great.
Yeah,
so,
you missed it. Well, you can see at least the storytelling of science online by going to the Origins website.
Cool.
We archive a number of events are taped and filmed actually by the same group that made the movie.
And the movie is The Unbelievers.
The movie is The Unbelievers. Yes, it had its world premiere in Toronto at the Hot Docs International Documentary Film Festival last week.
Cool. Yeah,
Richard and I were just there.
Yeah, my mom lives in Canada, so she made me aware of it.
We did a lot of national media in the country, all around the country. Obviously, only people in Toronto could come see it unless they flew in. But yeah.
Nice. Do we know when we can expect to be able to see it, or has it been?
I wish I could tell you. We're after that. We're looking at distribution issues right after. We wanted to wait till after the festival, and we're trying to find out. We'd like it to be in theaters near everyone soon.
Awesome.
And then, online and on demand and Amazon and all those.
Well, what can you tell us about the film at this point? Because again, it's with it just premiering. Like, I'm sure our listeners probably don't know much about it.
Well, you can see it. Your listeners can see a trailer of it online on YouTube. Going to the Unbelievers movie,
okay,
and they can see a trailer. It's a great film. It's a kind of rock and roll tour film that follows Richard and I, except about science. It follows Richard and I around the world as we've gone to speak on issues of science and reason, and also behind the scenes and discussions between me and him, and on television shows, and basically follows us. It's got a narrative flow as it follows us as we attempt to defeat the forces of evil.
Yeah. So you and Professor Dawkins have had you had a bit of a rocky meeting, didn't you?
Well, you mean our very first time? Not rocky, really. We just I asked him a question about his approach, and I guess and so we disagreed about it, but I don't think it was rocky. And then we had a discussion about it, and ended up writing a piece together for Scientific American on our different views.
That's great. So, as I understand it, part of the disagreement was just on the approach to take when it comes to either talking to or debating with believers. Is that sort of an okay characterization of it?
I'm sorry, I missed that. I want to repeat that.
Oh, sure. What I asked was, it sounded like the disagreement that you two had up front, and what's sort of been fueling conversation ever since, is the idea of how we as atheists should approach believers, and what should the goal of the atheist movement be in terms of believers. Is that true, or? Well,
I think yeah. I mean, well, the point of the film is really to just argue that that religion gets in the way, but primarily to argue that we want people to appreciate the wonder of the real universe and not let their beliefs of any sort get in the way of accepting the universe for what it is. So accepting the universe for what it is and appreciating the wonder of the universe are really the basis of almost all of our discussions. Now, it turns out that for many reasons, and clear examples of which are in the film, the religion does get in the way. And so it has me and him, in certain cases, debating various groups, and also at the Global Atheist Convention in Melbourne. And there's one scene where, on a given night, I'm debating an Islamic debate group in Canberra, and he's in Sydney debating the Archbishop of Sydney. And so yeah, there's some, but and there's also the Rally for Reason in Washington, and so it's not a sort of atheist film per se. It's not. And the film, I think, doesn't present a viewpoint. It follows us, but I think the point behind us is that religion tends to get in the way and cause people often to make irrational decisions. If it doesn't get in the way and it doesn't affect their decision making, then then it's not as relevant. Although Richard, I think, in certain cases, there's a nice discussion between him and me in Phoenix, actually, about whether even that's relevant. But the main point is to appreciate the wonder of the universe and use reason as the basis of decision making, especially in public policy.
Right. Well, I think that's a big issue of our time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's essential. The movie ends with actually a speech by me at the Rally for Reason in Washington, and I didn't have it. It's nice that it ends with me, but it wasn't something I chose. But which is really the statement of how important it is that these issues are especially important in the current times, because all the global challenges facing us, from energy to the environment to global warming and the need to end the subjugation of women, and that what we really need to do is preserve reason, because more important than any time in human history, these important policy decisions depend upon science and reason.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if we could just back up and kind of talk about debate as debate with believers and kind of what your goals might be when you do enter one of those debates.
Well, we were asked a lot about this in Toronto associated with the movie, and I think that we both recognize that in certain cases, we don't expect to influence the people we're debating, who are often rigid and dogmatic. The idea, however, is that there'll be people watching who are not so religious and dogmatic, or at least who are not so fundamentalists, and who are more open to, who may never have thought of these questions. And so I think what we're trying to do is influence them at some level, is get those sort of people who are new to this issue to think about these things. And really what we want to do in the movie, in fact, is to encourage discussion. That's the main thing. We said we want the movie to encourage people, especially people who don't know who Richard and I are, the vast middle, if you wish, people who may think of themselves as believers, and most people who think of themselves as believers really don't believe.
Right.
Most people who define themselves as religious aren't really religious, but they don't want to be thought of as bad people.
Sure.
And so trying to get them to think about these questions, and that's one of the reasons why in the movie there's also it not only follows me and Richard, but there are many cultural icons and celebrities who are in the beginning and the end of the movie. So it begins with Woody Allen, and then there's Bill Pullman and Cameron Diaz and Ricky Gervais and Sarah Silverman who are in the movie. And we want to get people who may not have heard of us, but who have certainly heard of them, and may be surprised to discover that they're interested in science, and so that we can reach and that's the point of the debates, I think. If there's any utility to the debate, it's really to have a chance to get people who might not otherwise to think about this. So I know I did a debate, and many debates I do that I wish I hadn't done, or they're not pleasant at the time, including one in London recently with an Islamic group. But I did one for the Campus Crusade for Christ in North Carolina for 1,200 people with an awful Christian apologist, and it was not a pleasant experience. But the hope was that some of the people in the room would at least understand that they shouldn't, if their beliefs at least don't conform to the evidence of reality, they have to re-examine their beliefs.
Right. Although it does seem like oftentimes, if a believer's beliefs don't conform to reality, they just change reality.
Well, that's the problem. That's the thing we're trying to convince people that they shouldn't do.
Right.
Absolutely, that's the problem. You don't have that flexibility. You do, but then you make irrational decisions, and so ultimately, you have no choice but to accept the evidence of reality if you want to make wise decisions.
Indeed. One of the things that I've been curious about, you've been in academia for a while now. Talk to us a little bit about what it's like to teach believers. Do you get believers in your classrooms, and when you do,
I don't think about it. Yeah, I don't ask. It's not something I discuss necessarily. I think I get people of all sorts in my classroom, from extremely conservative people to not so conservative people, and I try and provoke all of them.
Sure.
Part of my purpose in teaching is to provoke people to think. So hopefully I offend everyone at some point. But I don't. I don't have. That's the other thing, you see, that people get the sense that somehow God is an important part of this whole business, and it's not.
Right.
God never comes up at scientific meetings, or it completely irrelevant. As my friend Steve Weinberg says, most scientists don't think enough about God to know that even whether they're atheists.
Right.
Because it's not. Some people think it's a big burning question, and it's not, because God is completely irrelevant to the workings of science.
Right.
And and so it obviously never comes up in my classes. I can discuss these things in my classes, and we have these discussions every now and then where something may appear to, where some belief may appear to contradict something I'm talking about, or the other way around, and we have frank discussions. But we have frank discussions about lots of stuff.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the.
I mean, I've had people who are devoutly religious, I think, in some of my classes, and I hope that they feel challenged, just like everyone feels challenged.
Right. Yeah. It does occur to me that could come up, but not necessarily. What I like about what you just said is the notion that science isn't necessarily. It's all it is observation of what we of our universe. So you're right that God doesn't even have to come into that. There's not
only doesn't have to, he doesn't, or she, or whatever. I mean, it's
right.
God would come into it if there was evidence for God.
Right.
But since there's no evidence for God, God doesn't enter into it. It's that simple. And the presumption of science is that physical effects have physical causes, and it works. And so then we just continue to do it.
It does work. That is a sticking point on science, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it works. That's the point. You can fly planes and build cars and cure people, and that's the main thing. If science didn't work, it wouldn't even be worth talking about.
Right.
Like religion, I guess.
I guess the problem becomes when and you see this all the time in political spheres, when people put science and religion somehow on the same plane and give them parity in terms of what should be weighed and what shouldn't be weighed.
Yeah, well, exactly, and I don't even. And some people argue. The other fallacy is that some people argue that morality is the purview of religion and the physical universe is the purview of science, and I don't think that's true either. I don't think religion is a very good place for morality either. But it is a big problem when somehow people think that they're told in churches, for example. I've gone to fundamentalist colleges, and the biggest impact I've had on that, or even on Fox News, is when I said on Fox News a few moments when I'm not being yelled at, when I said you don't have to be an atheist to believe in evolution, because you certainly don't have to be.
Right.
And I've had kids come up to me and say, and people write to me after those programs saying, "That's amazing. They've been told, I've been told every week in church that you have to be an atheist to believe in evolution, and therefore evolution is wrong."
Right.
Because you have to believe in God, and that's the problem. That's how people feel that if facts are a threat to their faith, then they shouldn't learn the facts. But as I try and point out, that's what the Taliban do, and it's not so impressive.
Mm-hmm. It does seem like there's a dichotomy that emerges between science and religion. What do you think is the best way for people just in their daily lives, for our listeners, for instance, to try and change that dynamic, so that it's not science versus religion? Because once you're right, once that becomes the issue, religious people just turn off science. They just ignore it.
Yeah, well, I think the point is that it should be that ultimately it should be reality versus myth. I mean, so and that's the real point. It's not science versus religion. It's reality versus myth, and which are you willing to accept? So I think that what you have to say. I mean, and when I've gone to religious places, I point out that I'll quote Moses Maimonides or St. Augustine, who said, the Bible is a scientific document, and as Moses Maimonides said, as he put it, the scriptures are absolutely true, but if your interpretation of the scriptures disagrees with the evidence of science, you should re-examine your interpretation of the scriptures.
Right.
So, I mean, the point is there are quote-unquote thoughtful religious people. There are religious scientists. I don't happen to see how those people can find it consistent. But because at some level, while science isn't inconsistent with the vague notion that there's a God or some purpose of the universe, although there's no evidence of such, it is inconsistent with most of the specific doctrines of the world's religions. But as I say, most people who adhere to those religions don't buy those doctrines anyway.
Right.
But there are people who are, religious and scientists. And I think the point is what you have to do, what you have no choice but to do, is to say, okay, if I'm a person of faith, I have to somehow find a way to have my faith be consistent with reality. And
right.
That science isn't a threat. If science is a threat to my faith, there's something wrong.
Right, exactly.
But it's that science is not atheistic or liberal or conservative or any of those things. It is just a description of reality that, not only that, but an understanding reality that allows us to make predictions, that allows us to impact on our future in positive ways.
I guess one of the other problems is that pseudoscience becomes accepted as science so much in modern American society as well. Science that isn't really science Frank and I are going to be going on a Bible Belt road trip coming up, and we're going to be visiting some museums that are not going to be about science, unfortunately,
but purporting to be.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I debated Ken Ham at the Unfortunate Creationist Museum, and was there when it opened and led the protest about it because it isn't a museum.
Right.
It's but I think that that a large part of this problem is, in fact, and the reason I emphasize more science education than attacking religion is that these myths are pervasive because people are scientifically illiterate.
Right.
And that's the same reason that pseudoscience can have such a big impact. And so if we just had people better educated, well, first of all, I do think in the long run religion will suffer, but I don't care about that so much. If we had people who are better educated, they wouldn't fall prey to myth and superstition easily.
Right.
And lies. It's just like if you had people saying on the radio, the Holocaust never happened. People have enough knowledge of history to know that enough about World War II to know what happened.
Right.
And you can't get away with that. But you can say, the Earth is 6,000 years old, and there are a lot of scientists who think that, and some people who are just willing to believe that people aren't lying.
Right.
They just don't know enough to know that that's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's always been my point of view as well, is that educating people enough on science will inherently just get rid of the myths, sort of naturally. Do you feel like that's the case?
Well, I think ultimately, once the point is, once you realize it's not a sacrifice to accept reality, actually the real world is more interesting than the myths. Then I think you feel it's easier to get rid of the myths. Once you realize the wonder of the universe is far more amazing than these Iron Age stories, then I think it becomes easier to give them up. And it's you don't have to feel that you lose any wonder or awe. We talk about, Richard and I on the tour, we're talking about spirituality, and the fact that science is very spiritual in the sense that it gives you something outside yourself and it infuses awe and wonder, and it certainly does for me.
Well, on that note, I think that that is about the perfect place.
It's a great place
to end this conversation.
Thanks.
Dr. Krauss, thank you so much for coming on our show.
It was great. Okay, you take care.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, all right.
That was great.
That was good.
There you go.
Totally dug that.
I'm on board with his vision.
Good things to say.
Yes, indeed.
Kind of, of course we're going to agree with somebody who we already agreed with. Right.
We need to have more people on the show who agree with what we already think.
Absolutely.
We're like religious people.
Yeah. Well, if you agree with us, go to facebook.com/TGIAtheist and like us.
Like us. And also you can email us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
And you could also leave us a voicemail at 424-666-8442. Don't forget about Flipbook. If you do use Flipbook, you'll like it.
And really don't forget, and this is what I'm going to hit this one really hard. Don't forget that if you go to thankgodimatheist.com, go there, you'll see our itinerary for our trip, and you can buy us a drink, or you can help us fund this trip, because as it is, it's coming out of our pockets, and we're going broke. And it would be really nice, a nice gesture on your part, if you wanted to help pay for some part of this trip, and you've got all of those different levels to do it. Oh, and you know what? It doesn't say it really, so I'll be clear about this. The 4 different buttons on the website are buy us a drink, which is $12.
Oh, okay.
Buy us a meal, which is, I believe, $25.
Right.
Tank of gas, $50.
Right.
And a night at a hotel, $85.
And that's for both of us.
Yeah.
One of those takes care of 2 drinks, 2 meals, a night for the both of us in a motel.
And,
all right.
And we would greatly appreciate it.
All right. Thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club.
Yeah.
And for letting us use their music.
And thanks also to our intern, Sarah, who's been really, really helping us out in planning this trip and everything.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
See you later.
Bye-bye.